this is where you look at this team, and we'll show it earlier. Sean Ryan getting kind of popped in the mouth by this linebacker. You got to come out as an offensive line, especially, and go, hey, look, man, I understand the crowd noise. I understand what that's going to do to our snap count time and all this. And we got to take control of this game. We got the best back in the game. This, arguably the best player in this football game is number 8. We got to make sure he's got an opportunity. Because look what he does here on the first play. So they run split flow. You got the right guard standing up too high. He's not ready for this play. Gets hit in the mouth. Josh Jacobs makes him miss, goes from a 3-yard loss, falls forward for a 3-yard gain. And that's why, you got to do everything in your power to make sure you give him a chance. Now, Walker here does a great job. I was just staring at the ball. So there's going to be problems with that later. But because you're staring at the ball, you have no idea what's going on around you. But does a great job here of taking a hard step and getting up to that linebacker. Blocking. Does a phenomenal job there. Now, next one. That's a nice circle, Mike. Jesus. We got a hinge here, and I don't know how he knows how to do this, but he pretty much lets Van Ginkel go on the backside. We got a pull by Jenkins. So we got a backside hinge, and for whatever reason, he just takes the head off of this safety cat and opens this lane up. Does a phenomenal job. And then, unfortunately, Jacobs fumbles, which you just don't see happen very often as part of the deal. But, these guys are, listen, in every football game, some guys are coming into play. Some are coming in to knock your head off. So they show it, go motion across and orbit back around. So we got really a trips look again. And here we are. Just hit singles. There's only one guy that's covered in this picture, and it's the guy I didn't circle. The rest of these guys, and you got a clean pocket, throw the ball, right? Get 5 yards, maybe you get 10 if you hit the cross, in between the linebackers. But we can make a miss on the 10 on top of the numbers here. On the hash it, we're gonna get minimum 5 to 7 yards. Instead, you throw the out. It's the only one that's covered. And if you connect it, it's great, but it's like sometimes it's okay to hit singles. We got under center, clean pocket. Now you make the right read, step into the throw. You drift to your left, throw off your back foot. And for every great throw that you have, in these situations when you need it and you don't step in, and you don't use your fundamentals, that's the part where I think as you're looking at this from a coaching staff or you look at it as a player perspective, you go, okay, this is what I need to improve because I got to be able to go into this situation and either connect an easier pass or hit this one on the dot because I stepped into the throw. Now, we knew that because of Minnesota, the crowd noise, everything that goes along with that, there's an issue with the snap timing. We know that, and we also know that because they still have Josh Myers looking between his legs, he has to reorient, snap the ball, all of these things, in a very, very short amount of time. I personally think this is the hardest thing you could be asking him to do because it's not like he looks back up and then takes a second or does some sort of head thing. He just pops his head up and snaps the damn ball, and it happens pretty fast. And I think it's particularly difficult for him, but it's also very difficult for these tackles. So Walker's a little bit late. Get into Love's Grill here, and they almost get a pick. You see how fast that happens. It just puts everybody in a bind. And they do a pretty good job of picking this up, except for Grenard over there on Rasheed Walker. And we've all been there. If you've played football and gone to Minnesota, you know how tough it is to get off on the snap count if you're playing out wide. Okay, so they're going to fire him again. And this is kind of like, Sean Ryan remembers the last time. And so he crosses over, he goes real flat, doesn't really gain any ground, and just gets pushed sideways. And so they're able to retrace at the linebacker position because they don't get any vertical movement. And we got a tackle for nothing. And those things happen because I see that guy might be coming. I want to be ready for it. But Just be ready for it with better pad level. Use your fundamentals. You see the space here, and I get it. Okay, like I get it. I know you just want to throw this little bubble and they could block, and maybe we got a one-on-one. And I know this Harrison Smith, and he's like a 6-time All-Pro, so maybe it's not a great idea. But blah 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 blah. I get all of it. Just run the damn ball because look at the numbers you got here. Okay, you got Tucker Kraft coming back in motion, playing fullback. They're going to run a little like wham trap. So we've got block out, block out, block out. With Josh Myers going right. We got a double team on the 3 technique. We're going to trap the defensive end. There's a single linebacker in the box. You're up to the safety. You don't have anything to think about. I mean, it is really that easy. Watch the hole for Josh Jacobs. Now, is the safety filling faster if he hands it off? Yes, he is. But, oh, my God. Right? And this is the unfortunate part. I was watching another game, and I think it was the Houston, and they keep throwing these like bubble screens, and when it looks like there's advantageous running lanes, and the bubble screens go for nothing, and you're sitting there, and I just tell you as a lineman, it's like, well, it turns into a free play, right? But as a lineman, you're going like, God, we only get so many run plays called anyways. I know the Packers get a lot, but when we have a chance to really pound them in the run game and you throw that bubble and it doesn't work, like you're putting us in a situation now where we got to throw it, which is not exactly what the hell we want to do anyways. So I don't know. I've just never been a big fan of the bubbles. I know they work sometimes. Now, one of the reasons you can't always run the football is because if your center is not going to sustain his blocks, sustain. And for whatever reason, it really stood out. He's had a couple of weeks of playing well, but and listen, I think that Phillips is a good player, but I mean, come on, like you already won the block. How does he get off? It just doesn't make sense. Same thing here. I think we're going to step across. Get your pad level down. Get your head across. Sustain. Can't outrun and make this play. By the way, Josh Jacobs carrying Harrison Phillips for 4 or 5 yards there is insane. Now, this is what it's supposed to look like. This is backside. So they shoot the linebacker to the B gap again. They're going to spike the 3 technique. You can see the 3 techniques tighten up. Like if you're watching tape and you see this and you see him spike, you okay, when I'm in the game now and I see him this tight, I'm thinking he might spike, right? When I'm in the game now and I see this guy getting a little antsy, I'm thinking he might shoot the gap. So Zach Tom takes a step back, gets his hips into it, creates the lane, and now we're out the gate. And that's how you have huge plays in a running game when guys are moving on the line of scrimmage, when they're moving horizontally, and you can cut the defense, whether it's by trapping them from the other side or whether it's by cutting them off with the guy you have. That's where huge holes are in defenses. That's why like really, really good teams with great defensive lines don't spend a lot of time moving their guys around and run stunts and dogs because they know there's a downside to it. Now they'll do it every once in a while, but a good team will say, my 3 technique is just going to beat the brakes off you, and that's all we need to do. So we shoot the gap again with the linebacker. Bearing down. Got a guy wide ass open. Just kind of miss here. And listen, it's easy for me to sit here and go, oh, this guy's open. I get it, right? And that was because of pressure. Now, we talked about earlier how Rasheed Walker was doing a great job with play speed, but now you see his helmet, he's looking at the ball. And this is just a palms up moment, right? If you got a 5 technique on you, you can't just leave him for the tight end. Tucker Kraft's a good blocker, but like, what are we doing? But you kind of got your heart set on staring at that football now, so you're gonzo. Guy comes in, and we got a problem. So, tough sledding. So Jordan Love, he sees the one-on-one. And, we got a lockdown corner over there, quite frankly. He's jammed up. Right now, and this is that 4th down play. Right now, Jaden Reed's open, right? And he was open in the first window. Try to get him to the second. You know, you're worried about that linebacker, you're trying to fit it in. So you throw it a little bit outside. Doesn't make the play. We get flushed. Throw the ball, almost get a pick here, begging for a call. Why does this happen? Let's watch the center. I told you they'd be pressuring the center by putting a guy over the top when they do their three-man lines and use those linebackers. Put them over the top, and you're just stressing them. So this should be a relatively easy pickup, but because he misses with his hands, he's too high, he bends, he gives up the backside. 51's running into his face. Running back cars just shift over. Jordan Love does a good job of getting out of the way, but really, this is an easy pickup. Just got to use technique. And this is the one thing about Josh Jacobs, man. He just makes chicken salad. Jump cut, I mean, incredible play. Center completely misses on this. Right? On the ground. Harrison Phillips in the hole. Jump cut out. You know, and that's why you still got a chance. I mean, realistically, that's why you have a chance in the playoffs. So what do the Packers have to do to kind of have a chance in these playoffs? Like, what do they really have to, like, what do you got to do to get better? What's the path to success? Number one, O-line. Take charge, got to play physical in the run game. From the jump, you have to be the hammer, not the nail. Number two, defensive line, got to win some one-on-ones. You're going to be playing some combination of the Eagles, the Vikings, and the Lions. And they're all have, the Eagles and the Lions have great offensive lines. And the Vikings offensive line against you guys look pretty good. So got to win those 1v1 matchups. Have to find a way to stress them pre-snap or at least get some reads so you have a better idea of what's happening. And then certainly the quarterback's got to play with incredible confidence from the jump. So let's see if it happens. That's the show. Thanks for watching. You can find me at Michael68 on Twitter, Process to Perform Instagram. Thank you to our sponsors at Bet Online. And as always, check out, subscribe, rate, and review the show on Process to Perform channel on YouTube. Thanks, guys. Have a great week. We'll get to you next week.